Good morning, lovely people. How are you all doing today? I hope you're well. I hope you're not too scorcho. We've gone really hot again. Oh my goodness. We haven't really stopped being hot since, I think it's about the middle of June. The whole summer we've had above average temperatures. I think they were saying like literally every day has been higher than the average. And then, of course, we had that real blast for a week. When was it? Second or third week of July? Third week of July. That. Anyway, we had a whole week of the high 30s, which then culminated in that 40-degree day. Oh my God, it was intolerable. And I remember sort of like a couple of days later as we dropped back to about 30, thinking, oh, thank goodness. Even though normally 30 for me I find intolerable. Unless I'm sitting next to the beach. Anyway, yeah, we're back into the mid-30s. So for the next few days, it's so frustrating with the garden, but I'll talk about those things specifically when I get back to the garden. The next few days, it's literally going to be try and keep those plants alive, get watering, get done, get out of the garden by 9 a.m. I was down there much later than that yesterday, I think it was, and it was it was horrible. So yeah, the garden, once again, everything is on hold other than just trying to keep it alive. You know, if I'd known at the start of this year how utterly hard the garden would be this year, never mind various illnesses, never mind 4 weeks off because I injured my back, I never even mind the heat, but the drought as well. It's been more work than, in all honesty, it's been more work than is probably worth it. I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, I think obviously I did the big push in June, early July to get the garden planted, because the thing is, at that stage, if I'd have walked away at that stage, the problem with that is that I'd spent all year either ill, injured or gardening. Hadn't done anything else. Oh, I sowed the lavender bags in February when I was convalescing, but otherwise I really hadn't done any work outside of the garden in order to accumulate a bit of money to therefore buy my veggies. So I was really pushing on and on and on, thinking I really have to get a vegetable garden this year because I've spent too much time on it already. And now here we are, the middle of August. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to reflect a bit more on that when I next go to the garden to do. There's one final thing I want to try to do. But yeah, what a horrible year for my last year in the garden. Crikey. But I'm getting rewarded, so that's great. I am getting rewarded now with my first little pickings. Courgettes are probably going to be coming thick and fast soon. Brilliant. I can fill my freezers up with yummy food for winter. That's what it's all about. I have my water with me as usual, but it's so hot I'm having a naughty treat today. I've also got myself a little Coke. I do like it occasionally. I like that fizzy bubble drink. More about a fizzy bubble drink in a minute. Yeah, it's a bit naughty, but nice. So look, I thought let's have a bit of a catch up today because it's all been a bit, you know, garden heavy recently, hasn't it? And you know, as we go through the winter, it's always this way anyway, that there are less gardening videos through winter. Obviously, because there's less happening in the garden, so there'll be more chatty videos. And I know some people say, oh, you talk too much. It's a chatty channel. If you don't like chat, you're not going to like my channel, full stop. I'm a chatterbox and I'm going to chatter. And I know so many of you like that because it's company, so it will continue. But just on a word of the garden, because I've had a couple of people message me. It's very sweet, very kindly and carefully worded messages from a couple of folks saying, you know, now that you've left the garden, you know, it's been fun to watch, but now that you've left the garden, I'm unsubscribing. So I haven't left the garden yet, but also I'm really holding out so that next year when I move, I get somewhere with a bit of garden. So I really hope it's not the end of gardening on my channel. But look, if you only like the garden videos, and for whatever reason next year if I don't get a property with a garden, yeah, I quite understand if folk want to unsubscribe. But for now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm still a gardener. Good, get that out of the way. So yes, catching up, right, there were a couple of things I didn't mention when I was doing the Auntie Teapot's last trip video. I didn't mention them in that video. Either the moment wasn't right with the camera or whatever. So just a couple of little things I wanted to chat about and catch up on that I was going to talk about today anyway. But the postie has just arrived as well and brought me such a lovely gift, and it completely ties in with it. So this has come from my sister, who, you know, she took loads of photos while we were down there, and it's one of these photo books. It's like daft cover. Can you see it? Auntie Teapot's last trip. So that's me grinning, gurning. That's the bay over from where we had our ice cream. This is St Mildred's Bay, and this is where Auntie Teapot's mum, my great grandma, had a beach hut. But what made me laugh, I forgot about this. Look at this picture. Hold on, let me see where the reflections are. Oh, there we go. You see, that's me with Auntie Teapot in the bag at the beach. Oh, bless her. I forgot my sister took that picture. So what a lovely little memento of it. Oh, with some, is it salvia on the back? That's so lovely, and what a lovely treasure for me to keep. So that can go, I don't know where it'll go permanently yet, but that can go on my bookshelf. So yeah, there were a couple of things I wanted to say. I've made a couple of notes. Firstly, it was a seaside trip. So I don't know what seaside towns are like in other parts of the world, but in the UK there are certain rules at the beach. So for instance, you have to have your chips on the beach and guard them from the seagulls. But there's also a thing called rock, a stick of rock. So, you know, once upon a time, I don't see sticks of rock around much these days, but once upon a time you went on your holidays to the seaside and you'd buy a stick of rock to take it home to give to your friends, or, you know, if someone had been looking after your cats or looking after your plants, you'd take them a stick of rock. Now, I've been eating it, so there's not much left to show you. But for anyone outside the UK, Russell, who doesn't know what a stick of rock looks like, it's bright pink. Now, it was originally that long, but the thing about, hang on, let's get it out of the packet. The thing about a stick of rock is, you can see here, it's white on the inside, and can you see that? It says Whitstable, and that writing goes all the way through the stick of rock, so you know where it's come from. So your friends go off to Whitstable for a couple of days holiday or a week's holiday, or, you know, they go to Swanage where my grandparents were, and they come back and they say, thanks for looking after the cats. It's basically a stick of sugar and peppermint oil, so they're always pepperminty. I love them. It's noshing around it. Oh, and the other thing about sticks of rock, they always come with a little label wrapped around the middle, like that. Now this one was a bit different because it's actually a label that shows the shop, the little sweet shop it came from. But they always used to be a little picture of the beach, of the beach of the town where the stick of rock came from. So they would normally be turquoisey, a really badly, highly coloured picture of that particular beach. You got to have a sticker rock when you have a day at the beach, haven't you? I mean, come on. I'm looking forward to finishing that. I've been dying to get stuck into it, but I thought, no, I need to leave a bit because I want to show you, or at least show any of those of you outside of the UK who have no idea what a sticker rock is. And that pink colour, that's very traditional. That almost luminescent pink. The other, you can get them in all different colours, but pink is the traditional, and the other traditional one is stripes running this way, sort of just multicolour rainbow stripes. I just did a salivate thinking about getting stuck into that later. Whilst we were in Canterbury one day, I think it must have been after we'd been in the cathedral, we were probably going for a little wander to find somewhere to go for lunch. Stopped in the high street by Stephanie, who came over to say hello. Hi Stephanie, thank you so much for coming and saying hello. So often someone will message me to say, well, when I used to get out and about more, I saw you on the high street in such and such a town, and didn't come and say hello. So thank you, Stephanie, for saying hello. That was really sweet. Also, we went to that show, and I couldn't remember what it was called, but it was called, there's the flyer, Fantastically Great Women Who Changed the World. Completely mad show. It was fantastic. I think it's touring. I think it's doing the tour circuit. So it might come to a town near you, and you might be wondering about it. You know what? I highly recommend it. And it was weird because in the first 5 minutes I was thinking, what is this? I don't know that this is for me. My sister was thinking the same, unbeknownst to me, but we thoroughly got into it. And it's a show about all these iconic women. Gertrude, which one was the Gertrude? Rosa, Amelia, Anne, Frida, all the Marys, Marie, as in Curie. Fabulous. Sorry, I was just getting lost in the in remembering that. So Frida Kahlo, Rosa Parks, Amelia Earhart, Marie Curie, Emmeline Pankhurst are just a few. It's a small cast. There's only 5 in the cast. One of the actresses, and it's all female, one of the actresses plays the same character all the way through. She plays a little girl who sort of gets lost in a museum, and the other 4 play all these amazing female characters from history. There's a live band of 3 members, kind of like a rock band. The music and the songs were written by their songwriters for Girls Aloud, Kylie Minogue, who else? Miley Cyrus. So it's a real good rock, great tunes show. Now the thing is, I think it's aimed at a slightly younger audience. It says suitable for ages 7 and up. And what was really lovely, sitting in the auditorium before the show started, like I always do, I have a look around at the crowd. I love that noise. I love that buzzy, excited noise of an auditorium before curtain up. Just happy, excited sound. And it was amazing. It was so lovely to see. The auditorium was full of little family groups of little girl, mum, grandma. It was so lovely. It was massively a female audience, and that's kind of a shame because I think let's take our little boys to see this kind of thing too. But yeah, it was an absolute romp. Loved it. Really, really loved it. The pair of us came out grinning from ear to ear. Just a really good, feel-good show. Great tunes. I mean, I was singing the tunes all the way home. It was brilliant. So yeah, if it comes to your town, and especially, you know, if you've got children or grandchildren, boys as well as girls, I would say, you know, they say ages 7 and up. I think, yeah, 7 and up, but definitely if they're sort of 10 or 11, great. And what amazed me was there was a little girl sitting in front of me, and she kept sort of turning around to her mum going, oh yeah, we did this in school. She was only about 8 or 9, and I was thinking, brilliant, is this stuff on the curriculum now? Brilliant, because I didn't get this stuff at school. So that was fab. Now the other thing, so we were staying in Canterbury, which was lovely. Well, you saw, you know, the wonderful buildings and what have you. Loads of restaurants, loads of great restaurants. We ate really well, but, oh my goodness, it's expensive. Now, at first I was thinking it's expensive because I never eat out. But there was one point I said to my sis, it seems quite expensive. And she said, yeah, it is. There were some things which, I'll tell you about one thing in particular, which were actually more expensive than in my area in London. Crazy. But yeah, great, loads of great restaurants. We had Italian that first night. And this is kind of, you know, I'd saved and saved and saved for this trip. And I had birthday money and it, you know, chucked in because paying for the accommodation, paying for the train, but then the rest of it, essentially, it's like I wanted to be able to eat nicely, eat out, just for once, enjoy it, you know, enjoy eating out. So yeah, Italian. There was one night we had sort of Turkish, Middle Eastern. Oh, it was gorgeous. But there was all sorts to choose from. Mexican. Lots of really good vegetarian options. There were a couple of places that were vegetarian. So if you're a veggie and you're, you know, visiting Canterbury, don't worry, there's lots and lots of food choices for you, but crikey, it's expensive. Now, back to the fizzy drink. Oh, I'm going to have another slurp, naughty. I mean, you guys know I virtually live on water. Pretty much is the only drink I have. Occasionally a cup of chamomile tea or a cup of peppermint tea. But every now and again, naughty. Yes, so, it's made me chuckle. And any of you who are northerners, it'll make you chuckle too, I hope. Especially northerners who've transplanted to the south, because you will have experienced this too. When we were at the beach at Whitstable and we decided, yeah, we're both hungry now, it's time to get our bag of chips. I've got to tell you, those chips were gorgeous. Just the right amount of crispiness, just the right amount of fluffiness inside, just the right amount of greasiness. And for me, the perfect amount of salt and vinegar. When my sister was ordering hers, she said, you know, bag of chips please, and a tin of dandelion and burdock. She said it quickly. And the guy was doing the chips and he said, what? And she went, can I get a tin of dandelion and burdock? And I intervened and I said to him, don't worry. And then I turned to my sis and I said, you won't get it down here. So this is a pop drink, soda, whatever you call it soda in the States, don't you? In the UK we call it pop. You go and get a bottle of pop, a can of pop. And it does seem to be a northern thing, dandelion and burdock. Well, we just say dandelion and burdock. And I remember when I first came to London, it was 1990 I came to London, and I was in my digs, and I think it was the first Sunday that I'd been there. So I'd gone to the corner shop to buy, you know, the Observer, a Sunday newspaper, and a couple of bits and bobs. And I thought, well, I'll get a can of, or a bottle of dandelion and burdock. I asked for it, and they looked at me like I was an alien who just landed. It's like, no, they didn't have any dandelion and burdock. So I was like, never mind. And, you know, over the intervening few weeks, looking around and getting to know this new place I'd moved to, no one sold dandelion and burdock. So I started to mention it to my southern friends, and they were like, what? So yeah, I think it's just a bit of a northern drink. But here's one of the expensive bits. So one of the evenings when we were walking back to our digs, and it had been after this, I saw a little shop, and I saw in the window they had the range of, I think it's called, is it Dr. Fentimans? It's a little old-fashioned pop in small bottles. That they do a cloudy lemonade and a pink lemonade, and they do dandelion and burdock. So I saw that the shop stocked these Dr. Fentimans. So I said to my sister, carry on. I didn't want to see what I was doing. Carry on a bit. Just need to pop in here for something. I'll catch up with you. So I popped in and yeah, sure enough, they had dandelion and burdock. Now these little bottles, where I get them here, you find them in health food shops or like posh little delis and that sort of thing. They cost £1.65 a bottle, so it's quite, I mean, it's a little bottle, so it's a real treat. Not something you would have very often. But I thought, yeah, I'm going to treat her to a bottle because she missed out when she got her chips. So I went inside, I grabbed 2 bottles, put them on the counter, got a £5 out of my purse, and then the guy was kind of stood there looking at me, and he was waiting for more money. He said, "That's £6, please." So, are you kidding? And if it hadn't been for the fact that I wanted to get it for my sister, I would have just put them back on the shelf. £3 for a tiny little bottle of pop. Are you kidding me? So anyway, she liked it and I liked my bottle too. But yeah, I did think, excuse me, I did think generally it was, I found it an expensive town to stay in and be out in. Our accommodation was, I think, naughtily expensive for what we got. But I hadn't realised this, of course, that Lambeth conference thing was on. And of course, a lot of accommodation was used up. So it was great in terms of location, but way more than I would normally want to pay for accommodation. I'm just sitting down because I'm looking at my notes. Yes, so one of the other things that came up while we were away, when we were in Whitstable, it's so lovely. And it was, I've been quite a lot to Whitstable, but I hadn't been for ages. When I say ages, like 6-7 years or more. And one of the things I love about our English seaside towns is you can go back after 10 years, 20 years, and they hardly change. And that was definitely the case for Whitstable. It was just as I remembered it. Of course, you know, sometimes the shops have changed a bit. It's a new business in there. But essentially, you know, you always get the kind of, I love this, you always get the kind of hippie surfer chick clothes shop at seaside towns. And I love that. That's my kind of thing. You always get your little gift shops and sweetie shops and all that sort of thing. So it was so lovely, and it just felt like such a lovely, warm, friendly, happy place. And when we were there, the pair of us, oh my goodness, it's like, stop doing this to me. We were looking in estate agent windows to see, you know, properties there. Are there suitable properties? What does the pricing look like? Actually, it's not too dissimilar to London prices, partly because it is commutable to London, i.e. the first train in the morning from Whitstable just about gets you into the city in time in the morning for work. So that's put the prices up. Why wouldn't you want to, you know, you do your work in London, but of course, why wouldn't you want to live by the seaside when you go home at night? So we were looking, and I would love to live at the seaside. I'm always very happy at the seaside, especially out of season. But, you know, we were talking about it, and I was just thinking, but would I really want to live in a tourist town? I thought about Canterbury as well, because Canterbury was lovely. And, you know, because my grandparents in their later years, how many years did they have down there? So originally in Dorset, they lived in one of the little quarrying villages up on the Downs, so 2 miles inland. And in later life, they moved down into Swanage, which is the main sort of beach town in that area. So I have a lot of experience of what it's like to actually live in one of these places rather than just visit for holiday. You know, I know what it's like out of season. Oh, I love it. I think one of my favourite times of year, sort of late September or late March. So before the tourist season really kicks off, but there's still a bit of warmth in the air, and it's warm enough to just sit on the beach and daydream, watch the waves. Oh, love it. But I also know what it's like when you want to pop out for a pint of milk. And you have to, you're wading through tourists, because the thing about tourists in a seaside town, and quite rightly so, is they're walking really slowly. They're on holiday, they're relaxed, they're taking it all in, they're looking in every shop window. It's wonderful. I'm exactly the same. I was the same in Whitstable, just dawdling along, lapping it all up. It's gorgeous. But yeah, when you're kind of going against the traffic as a pedestrian, you're trying to get to Co-op to get a pint of milk, it does get annoying. And I think the thing in Whitstable as well is the pavements are quite narrow. And, you know, there are a number of times I had to step off the pavement into the road to get past people. And I was thinking, would that become annoying really quickly if I lived there? You know, that's the kind of thing I bear in mind when I think about where I like to live, is how easy is it to just get around and get on with my day and my business. And, you know, in amongst that, be able to have those moments and times when you stop in the high street to chat to a friend without being bashed by a load of tourists. You know what though? It's on the agenda. I'm certainly going to look there when the time for looking comes next year. So, sorry. So many things I want to say. Some of you remember, I think it was an ironing session I did. I don't know how long ago it was. Months and months ago. And I was mentioning getting a knitting pattern for my sister, and it was like, shh, don't tell her. So she had this dead specific request. She wanted a cardigan pattern. It had to be raglan sleeves, not set-in sleeves. But the quirk to it was a really specific pair of needle sizes. I don't know. I don't understand knitting. I mean, I cannot understand it. Anyway, you all came up trumps, and a couple of you sent actual patterns to me. And I kept hold of them until this little trip we had, because I wanted to hand them over and explain to her how they'd come to me and about asking all of you about it. So she says, thank you very much. She says, thank you to you all, actually, because a couple of you treated us to our chips on the beach and our ice cream. So yeah, thank you from me and her. Fab. What was lovely whilst I was down there, and this also talking to my sis, was time to read a book. Because normally I don't read until the winter. You know, the days are so much shorter, and it means that in the evening, you know, things like, well, the garden, there's less. You know what it boils down to is this garden, oh God, love it. I mean, I love it, but it just takes up, or it has now, it just takes up too much time. It takes me away from everything else pretty much. But in the winter, of course, when the garden is considerably more fallow, I usually have about 5 beds of brassicas, garlic, broad beans on the go. So I have 13 fallow beds each winter. So I finally get time to read. In the summer, rarely. But while we were down there, I started to read. Do you remember I mentioned this, that the lovely Rob had sent me? This is the 50th anniversary edition of, it's all taken from Dick Prenicky. This is Dick Prenicky, building his cabin near a lake, near nowhere in Alaska. Oh, it's been brilliant. Now, I've only got a handful of pages to go, but I haven't read any since I've been back in London, which is getting on for tomorrow. It'll be 2 weeks since we got back. So I need to carve out some time. But anyway, it was I knew it was going to be a fantastic book. It's in diary form, so he's so gentle. He just strikes me as being this most gentle person. He's putting out food for birds in the middle of winter. I'm like, Dick, that's your food. You need to look after it. Anyway, what was really lovely about reading it on our trip, one of the reasons, so my sister and I are opposites in so many ways. So many ways. We have a lot of common ground, but we're very, very opposite in many ways. And one of those ways is she's a lark, I'm an owl. So at 10 o'clock, it's like night, and I'm wide awake at 10 o'clock at night. So I was reading till gone midnight most nights. And I think I mentioned this to my sis on the first night, saying, I've got this book to start, can't wait. Da, da, da. So in the morning she asked me, how's the book? And I was telling her about it, telling her about Dick Prenneke, his sort of dream, what he wants to do, and basically, where he'd got, it's so far as I'd read that evening, where he'd got to in the cabin build. So then what was lovely was for the next 3 mornings over breakfast, my sister would be like, right, where's he up to on the build? Did he, has he got the roof on yet? Did he manage to do, da, da, da? So based on the previous breakfast morning meeting about it, she was asking me where he got, and it was lovely. It was kind of a real nice kind of bonding thing for me and her. But it was lovely for me that something I really, really love and enjoy, that she took such a keen interest in. So lovely. I'm not going to give this to her. It's mine, because I'll read it again at some point, but I'll see if she wants to borrow it. Borrow, not have. Ah, lovely jubbly. So I've been whittling for a while, haven't I? And I've got all sorts of other stuff. I've got some thank yous as well. Oh, and I've got a whole... Oh my goodness, there was loads more I wanted to say. That can wait, because otherwise I'm going to go on forever. But wanted to say... Oh, hang on. This is from Sheila. I've already thanked her, but I wanted to show you all this. It's about when your heart is so big, you need 4 legs to walk on to carry it. That is so lovely and so perfect. And I also wanted to say thank you to Jen and Gizmo for some old buttons she sent. Brilliant. That's all for stuff that I'm going to be doing over the winter. I've got some linens that I need to wash and press. And when I do the pressing, we can have another little chatty session, because there's all sorts I want to catch you up on to do with shop and sewing, and my year is shifting. My year is just on that cusp of, okay, not bye-bye garden, but like gardening now is watering and harvesting. So there's a definite shift now, which I'm really beginning to enjoy and looking forward now to the autumn. So yeah, we'll have a chat when I'm ironing. Oh gosh, sorry, excuse me. Yeah, I was going to chat about, no, that can all wait for another day, because otherwise I'll be going on forever. So I tell you what, for now I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sitting with me when I do have these little chatty sessions. I thoroughly enjoy it. I know most of you do too. I know some people don't. That's fine. Like I said, unsub. And there is that one more job to do, big job to do in the garden. In all honesty, well, I'm not sure. The whole garden stuff, because there's a few ideas. Well, I'll talk about when we're at the garden next. I don't know when it'll be. I guess what I'm saying is we might have a little run of chatty videos coming up. Just get through this heat wave. So I'm going to leave it there and wish you all well. Everyone who's in the UK, who's got this blast of heat again and we're just not used to it, I hope you're all okay. We might have learned a few tips and tricks of how to cope and deal with it from the last one, because it wasn't that long ago, was it? And you know what, before we know it, like I was saying the other day, summer will be over and we'll be longing for heat, warmth again. We'll be longing for sunshine and blue skies. So if you can enjoy it and embrace it, yeah, do. Make the most of it, but safely. All right, lovelies, I will see you all again really soon, I hope. But for now, on a very hot day. I'm not looking too hot today, am I? Digressing. Cheerio.